Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning, right?
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm April Martinez.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Welcome. Good morning. How are you, Marlene?
Good. Lovely Thursday morning.
It is. It's not too cold anymore. I'm sorry. I know you like your cool weather.
Definitely. But it is coming this weekend. They did tell us that much.
Okay. Fine. I'm going to hope for like Goraki or something.
No.
Not happen
Well,
again.
you can. You'll just be cold.
I think that defeat the purpose of like a sunny sea breeze, because it done cool. But but yes, nevertheless, it's a nice day. It's a beautiful day. It was a lovely sunrise this morning.
All right, but of course there's a whole lot happening. I wanted to start off, of course, by talking about what is happening in the region, the inauguration of the female president,
Yes,
Xiomara Castro.
Yes,
in Honduras. Prime Minister Briceño is there to attend the inauguration. It's so interesting when I see what people are talking about to the news of the inauguration of the female president, where, especially following the fact that we'd interviewed Honorable Panton on her bid for UDP leadership, that I see a lot of people just saying it's time for a female. Belize is next.
We are a little behind next to our Latin American countries, our neighbors, because let's see, you've had Argentina, who's had a female president. You've had Colombia. You've had now Honduras. You have other places that are
Costa Rica
that are not into this whole gender biased, women can't be in politics mentality. So yeah, I think we're a little behind. I think we're long overdue a female prime minister, but at the same time, we don't see a lot of females engaging in politics in Belize.
Yeah, and that's just it. I don't know. It's not that women, in my opinion, and I've never put myself forward in a race, so I can stand to be corrected here anytime. It's not that I think women don't have a space to put themselves forward. I think that the rules of engagement are different. The expectations are different. And the level of, it goes right back to expectations. What we expect of them is far more than what we expect of men.
Have you ever gone into an open space, a public space, a bar, and this is for our viewers as well, where you sit and you listen to the conversations that people are having around you, and very little or none at all will you hear a woman talking about politics in an open space to her friends. And if you do, you kind of like furrow your eyebrows a little bit, or you're like, why are they talking about that in an open space? And I think until we get past that stigma that we are not allowed, or we can't, or we don't know about politics in an open space, then maybe we can start opening doors for people to.
If you do hear it, you might be sitting next to me.
I mean, me too. I will speak freely about politics in public, but that's a very, very small percentage of women.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I can't tell you how many. It's two demographics, and it may be changing. That I find. Women oftentimes will say, "Oh, I don't want to, deal with that." And the other, sometimes young people, just like, "I don't want to hear about politics." They want to hear about something else, crime or some kind of scandal that may have taken place. So it's, I'm trying to remember the guest. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to remember the guest who was here one time who said something that I so firmly believe. I think we've allowed politics, the word politics, to become a bad word.
Yeah.
When in fact and in truth, it is something that we should all embrace. What we tend to call politics is partisan politics. The support of one political party, oftentimes without limits as to what they can and cannot do. But versus talking about the politics of your country or the governance of your country, on the decisions that are made, how they impact people, and how we are progressing, because that is the hope.
I find that interesting, and I definitely agree with you. I feel that we are interested in politics because I hear people talk about, life hard, things dread, the economy this, that, So it's not like we are not aware.
Yeah.
It's just that I think that we don't feel like we are open or we're allowed to give ourselves that freedom to talk about it in an open space, because what happens is that we go into a rant or a rampage about who you're supporting instead of what
Because
you support.
somehow disagreement in a decision made within our country or governance of our country seems to be for or against the administration that's in power or the opposition that speaks out.
Not somehow give constructive criticism without getting fully blown or attacked by somebody that disagrees with you. And the reality is that you're not criticizing person or party, you're criticizing policy. You are criticizing the events that are happening that are not beneficial for us, the things that are affecting us as a people. And I feel like if we can't speak about that, then we're not going to get past certain complications.
We are heavily driven by the personalities involved, rather than looking at the work that they do. And it is, when I was 18, I always give that story. I may have been a strange one, but when I turned 18, the most exciting thing was that I could vote.
It was the first thing I went to do to get my voter's ID.
On my 18th, same. On my 18th birthday, I went to get my voter's ID.
Yeah.
I was very active in civil society, and I knew how important that vote was and what it meant for me. And I don't know how many people, I'm happy to hear somebody else, but it's concerning, because when I think of what I dreamt of when I was 18 as to what our leadership in our country would be, or where our country would be, or how we would debate or talk about leaders in our country, that we'd be at a whole different level than we are now. And I can only imagine for young people how they feel so disheartened by the state that we are in, the level of conversations that we have when we talk about governance. It is a struggle. And when people talk about brain drain, or when young people go off to college and don't want to come back, part of it is this.
I was just having this conversation with a few of my friends the other day, and we were talking about why is it that we can't progress, our generation, right? This generation, why we can't progress? Why is it that there's so much people that go get their education and realize that the economy is better, the life is a little bit better, perhaps they are able to live a sustainable life in another country. And then for the ones that come back and want to build, you're kind of met with a wall because of the status quo that most Belizeans are accustomed to. It's very difficult to break barriers when people are comfortable in that barrier. You want change, but the minute somebody comes and say, okay, here's a sledgehammer, break that change, they feel afraid to do it, or it's going to somehow ruin their little safety, right? And it comes with challenges, these kinds of issues. And the metaphor of it all is that if you want to be able to change your position, or you want to change your environment, you have to be able to push through certain barriers. If you're not comfortable with that, then you have to be comfortable with staying in your bubble.
Yeah. So, bringing it all back, as I started to kind of see the reactions to a female president, and as we've seen with Motley, we spoke about when Prime Minister Motley was reelected back to office, there is a call from the younger generation for something different. And I say it goes beyond something different. I think they're waiting and longing for a different style of governance. And my fear is this, and I hope not to be seen as a traitor to my gender, but you can't just think because it's a woman that it's going to happen. It's a character that you need. It's people with character and people with integrity that's needed, and a public that holds them accountable. You know, I think I said on Monday on the show, it was really interesting for me when I was kind of tuning into international news where, and let me, you know, no country is perfect. Everyone has their level of deviousness that takes place at the higher level. But when I looked at what was the conversation was happening in the UK about Prime Minister Johnson Boris Johnson, stepping down because of hosting gatherings during the pandemic when others weren't allowed, or opposition leader deciding whether he would step down when there is there's a report made at a police station regarding a domestic violence incident. You know, you look at the two and it's very unsettling.
It comes back to exactly what you said, character. Yeah. And you need to hold yourself accountable. When you know that you are in the wrong, you have to be able to admit it. Ego above everything else shouldn't be a part of your character if you are in politics. Yeah. But like you rightfully mentioned, just because you're a woman does not necessarily mean that you'll be making the right choices. You have to have the gusto to be in politics. You have to be able to understand policy, and there's a million other things that you need to be able to understand. Most important, your people. If you don't know your people, you can't be in politics. If you don't understand the cultures within your area, you can't be in politics. If you don't know the way your communities are set, you can't be in politics.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot we can go on and on about this one. But I do hope that we, oftentimes we throw this responsibility onto our younger generation, like they're going to grow up and do better. But we are starting to set the example from now. Right. And the tides can change, if ever so gently, to allow for the younger generation to be able to have a path to follow. And it starts with where we put our focus. Let me give you a clear example. We have a real crisis in this country right now. Well, we have several. But let's look at, and we're going to be talking about it, what's happening with the shipping delays. Yeah. Let's look at inflation costs. These are things that affect a family waking up right now and the choice of what they can't afford to make for lunch for their children today. Yeah. And these are real life issues affecting people. And where is our focus? Where is our thought process at the moment? So I think that's, while we can always say, well, I have hope for the younger generation, let's be fair to them and let's start to be the society, or try to be the society we want for them in our own individual actions, starting now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. No pressure on air or anything, but not only is our generation aware, but we are a little bit more educated. So that's what makes us aware, and I think that's what makes it frustrating.
And the internet, you get to actually see and hear other leaders. You can learn about what's happening in other countries versus what the amount of research and reading that we had to do a decade ago, Mary.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I think we are being more aware, but we also, with the internet comes a lot of misinformation as well. And if you can't differentiate with what is accurate and what is just BS and common, language, you're not going to be able to do. I don't know why you laugh at me.
Why do you like to take me down these rabbit holes?
I'm sorry.
We don't have the time to get into that one right now, but it is a valid point. You're right. Yes. The good of accessibility comes with the equal opportunity for accessibility for information that's not correct, or that can skew your perspective as well. So. But that's what I was thinking of this morning. We started off with talking about how people are heralding a female leader, but it is, I do have great interest in how I see people respond to these types of stories, because it gives me a sense as to just how much there's a clamor for something different.
I appreciate the positivity because you know, maybe 10 years ago it would be a little bit less of a positive reaction to have a female president in Honduras, just based on, you know, conservatism and all that jazz. But now we're seeing that people are a little bit more progressive, a little bit more understanding towards that kind of politics, and so does give me hope for the future a little bit.
Don't sound so skeptical about it. We got to keep that hope going. All right. And hopefully we can get moving into our show because we got a lot to get into today.
Yes, we do.
And we're going to start off with some motivation to get you started. So that means it's time for our eye opener. And our eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. When we learn to attune ourselves to our inner compass, we follow a map that only we can see, our own path. We often study the fine points of a particular ascended master's narrative in order to better understand our own and to seek inspiration and guidance in our path. In the same way, when we plan a road trip, we carry maps and guidebooks in an effort to understand where we're going. In both cases, though, the journey has a life of its own, and maps, while helpful, can only take us so far. There is just no comparison between looking at a line on a piece of paper and driving your own car down the road that line represents. We may find that the road traveled by our predecessors is now closed. We may feel called to change direction entirely so that the maps we have been carrying really no longer apply. These are the moments when we learn to attune ourselves to our inner compass, following a map that only we can see as we make our way into the unknown territory of our own enlightenment.
I feel like we were just talking about this. We did not plan that.
I did not. But yeah, the universe is aligning to reinforce the point.
It is. It really is.
Don't have to follow the path of your predecessors.
No, you can choose your own path and make it your own, and who knows, maybe it'd be a better future than the plans that they had for you.
Yeah.
So weird.
All right, we're going to get moving. And of course, it's time for us to check out our weather for this morning so we can find out what to expect. And of course, I'm most interested in knowing when our cold front starts coming in because we're supposed to be getting one soon. And we're going to go ahead and read. Oh, there she is. Good morning, Angelia.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Not too bad. Interested in finding out what we can expect in our weather for today.
Okay, expect mainly fair weather to prevail today. A few showers might develop over inland areas this afternoon. Otherwise, 1 or 2 showers here and there.
Mm-hmm. What about our winds?
Okay, winds will be from the east and northeast at 5 to 10 knots, so light winds today.
All right. And or temperatures?
Okay, high temperatures today will peak near 84 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 86 inland, and 76 in the hills.
All right. And for tonight?
Tonight, the low temperatures will range from 74 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 68 inland, and 62 in the hills.
All right. Now let's talk about what the end of the week is going to bring. What's the extended forecast?
Okay, we're expecting an increase in moisture over the area tomorrow, and then the approach of a cold front late tomorrow. So we might get a few showers and possible isolated thunderstorms over inland areas late tomorrow, maybe tomorrow afternoon or evening, and then over southern and coastal areas tomorrow night. And by Saturday, we should have windy conditions with cool temperatures.
Ooh, that's the cold front coming in?
Yes.
All right. Well, we love to hear that much. Thank you so much for the update for today.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Bye.
Oh, you get your cold front.
And I'll take my reins before that, too.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on, I think we have great conversations planned for today. I'm really, really excited about a few of them. Some of them I'm going to see how my heart feels at the end of it. But for this morning, our first conversation, we're going to be talking to the business community, right? We're going to have the past president of BCCI come and share with us how the impasse between CWU and PBL is affecting them.
That's right. And the second part of the show, we are going to be talking about the situation of migrants in the country and what the IOM office is doing, what type of work they're undertaking about helping migrants in the country.
Yes, and our last segment for today, we're going to be joined by India Camille, who is going to be sharing the benefits of a vegan lifestyle for a healthier you in 2020.
Yum.
Excited. I always love it when there's food here.
All right, with that, we got a birthday shout out for this morning.
Yes.
This is a big one for us, of course. Our lovely sales representative is celebrating her birthday.
Happy birthday, Ashley.
That's right. John's not here to sing, and I definitely won't torture you with it so early in the morning, but we do hope you have a fantastic day today from all of us here at Channel 5. All right, we're going to take that break now, and when we come back, we are going to be talking about the situation that is unfolding at the port, how the strike is affecting the business community. So please stay tuned.
It's almost lunchtime and Alice is getting hungry and forgot to bring cash. She remembers that eCash now has a geolocation feature in which she can easily view the eCash merchants near her, especially restaurants. Her co-workers also ask her to order food for them.
Chicken chow mein, please, and a Coke.
The merchant sends her the payment link. She taps confirm, and within a few minutes, her food is delivered. Alice then views her transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made. Then taps the split the bill button where she selects the unevenly option and moves the bar to the desired amount per person. The request is then sent to her friends. Her colleagues accept the request and are ready to enjoy their meals. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash make Alice's life a whole lot easier.
Stream as you go with Smart Stream Video on Demand. Coming soon.
Child Development Foundation, or CDF as we are popularly known, has been partnering with Social Security Board since 2015. Social Security Board supports our child protection initiatives. They support us to build capacity for teachers and parents to identify the indicators of abuse. In particular, they support our counseling center so that we can provide trauma-focused counseling therapy to children who have been abused. Social Security has also supported our prevention program, the Rise Girls program, to help us to equip young women who are in primary and secondary school to understand more about adolescent development and also to build good self-esteem and to build safe social networks.
Over the past 6 years, we have established a partnership with the Social Security Board. It has assisted us in addressing some of their social welfare needs and health care needs of our older persons, specifically in Belize City, San Ignacio, and Belmopan. We have had the opportunity to do home visits with our geriatrician and physiotherapists. We distribute meals to them. We also have that opportunity to interact with them to observe them. There are needs that may be identified. If we can address those, we do so.
Social Security has been one of our biggest donors throughout the years, and the services that they provide to us is basically financial, and it helps with a lot of things here at the center, like bills and groceries. The center is a drop-in center for the mentally ill, elderly, homeless, deportees. They come here, they take a shower, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch, and they also do recreational stuff here at the center. They can watch television, they listen to music, they play games, and they just, interact with each other, because here it's like a family.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we are back, and we are joined via Zoom by Nikita Usher, who is the past president of the BCCI, and Delroy Fairweather, who is the vice president of the Customs Broker Association in Belize. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning. We're good.
All right. Well, this is a conversation that we've been having for the past week, and I just want you all to tell our viewers and talk to our viewers about how this is affecting the CW and the PBL. Can you give us a little bit of information on the situation so far? There have been news reports as of, I think yesterday, we thought that there was going to be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, but so far, nothing. So can you share with us a little bit of status in that situation?
Elroy, here to you.
Yeah, good morning, Belize. Good morning, Marlene, April, and Nikita. Yes, basically, we are hearing the same thing that you guys are been hearing. There hasn't been any official position as yet insofar as the CW members returning back to work. It seems as if they are still in negotiations, and we're waiting to hear the outcome of the negotiations to see if there will be any positive income. For now, we have had 2 vessels which have diverted down to the port of Big Creek. We have presently 2 vessels in harbor at Anchorage, one which contains fertilizer. And then there's a next vessel that just came in from the transshipment port in Jamaica, which is also sitting out in the harbor and waiting to see if this situation will be resolved. If that situation works out, then I would think that operations will commence back at the Port of Belize Limited.
Now, the crucial, there are 2 things here. There is the ongoing impasse between CWU and PBL, but there is also the impact of what this fallout has caused. The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry issued a release earlier this week outlining how this additional delay will have an economic impact, not just for businesses, but also for consumers. It also was an opportunity to talk about how shipping costs alone and delays that are beyond what's happening locally with the port have already been impacting prices. Nikita, let me get you to weigh in on that for a moment to talk about how this is basically compounding an already challenging situation.
Thanks, Marlene. Indeed, the release actually took into consideration what is currently on the ground. As we speak, and prior to even this impasse, costs of goods in Belize have actually been seeing an inflated rate. And that's particularly for two reasons. One, we have the aspect of freight that has skyrocketed over the last 6 or 8 months or during the COVID period. And also bear in mind that that's a cost that is coming to the consumer at the end of the day, because it's calculated in the cost of landed costs that the stores or the supermarkets would then add to their cost of putting it on the shelves. But in addition to that, where a good also carry a duty, there's also the aspect of duties that are now higher than normal because of the higher cost of freight. Because there's a thing that is called in the business of freighting, CIF delivery, costs including freight, which means then that you take the cost of freight and you add it to your cost, and then duties are calculated on those goods, on the value of those goods, inclusive of freight costs. So already having a freight cost that is higher then gives you a higher duty for those duties, and the custom brokers can share that with you in more details. That automatically put the cost of the goods on the shelf a little higher than what we would have accustomed to be seeing pre-COVID time. So cost of freight, cost of duties impact now the cost. And that is where the inflation now that the chamber speaks about is now at a higher rate than some years ago. We're almost seeing in November, I think we're saying 5.5% or 6%.
Yeah. Over 5%.
5.7.
Yeah.
All right, so that is already an inflated cost. Now, compounding that now is an issue where you have the impasse. And I heard in one of the media houses where someone said that it will not have any impact on that at all. But really and truly, we have to be careful, because when these ships arrive with these containers, their responsibility is to offload. And the longer they stay out there, time is running and you're paying that cost. Automatically, those costs start to add. Equally, if there's a decision taken where we have to divert these containers onto another port, particularly in Big Creek, there are those supermarkets, importers who are saying, you have just increased my cost because I have a higher inland cost. I know I was just having a discussion with Delroy, and Delroy is saying it might not be as much as what we're thinking. At the end of the day, though, it's going to be what arrangement is made with Big Creek Port, what cost will be involved in there, and if that cost is higher than what the Port of Belize is charging, automatically the cost of that good becomes higher on the shelves. So that is what we're facing now on the importation side.
And that's the cost of getting to the port. But then you have the transportation cost depending on where you need to move your container.
That's correct. So you could imagine what would happen in a container moving to Corozal.
Now, I appreciate the breakdown in helping us understand how the cost of goods are arrived at. When the chamber put out the release in being able to outline how consumers will ultimately be the ones who will have to pay the cost, there is always speculation as to, well, why are the businesses going to charge us that? Why are they going to add that on to our costs? Do you want to explain that one?
Well, I don't know that a business is in the business of not making money. Bottom line, I really understand that situation, but at the end of the day, the business has to cover its costs. And its cost is inclusive of all costs. Cost of goods, cost of freight, cost of duties and taxes attached. So all those costs becomes the cost of the business to get that good to their store. The only difference is that the business will add a markup now to put it on the shelves. That markup may vary. Some may choose to say it's 10%, some may choose 5%, some may choose 20%. Depends on the good, depending on where you're located, depending on your business policies. At the end of the day, that is why we emphasize the point that at the end of the day, it will end up being a cost that the consumer has to bear. The business community has no control over the cost of the goods arriving at their location site. Duties are attached, taxes are attached, and it's based on whatever that cost is plus the freight. And the freight is in no way controllable by the business community.
So what compromise do you see happening then? How do you suggest we move forward with this circumstance?
You know, there's a situation that is on the ground that I've pleaded in a last show that I was on, that we allow the process to work. There is a tribunal that is set up, but if we cannot even sit down around the table, we will go nowhere. Every parties that I have been involved with will have impasse, will have delays, will have differences of opinion. That's normal for human beings, that's normal for business transaction. But the way we handle it is the most important. And I am of the view, and if you notice the Chamber's comment in their press release, it was basically saying, let us allow the tribunal process to work. In other ways, you can go to a court if you're not satisfied with the tribunal results, but allow the process to work while you allow the business, the community, the Belizean community to be able to access their goods. Because there's another side of this, you know. Cost is one aspect. Availability will be the other side of it that we will be very soon faced with on our supermarket shelves. And you know, the worst part, Marlene, for me is when I see medical supplies now being affected. And I have been advised by our members that we do have some containers on the ground that is medical supplies oriented. If my memory serves me right, Delroy can share this. I think it's anywhere between 500 or 700 containers that we're talking that will be affected.
For this week. Just
for this week alone. And every week after, my understanding, it could change by about 300 or 400 more.
Yeah. So, and that's the question I do have for Delroy, to ask what is the decision-making process at this point? I think you mentioned that at least 2 ships have just returned back to the U.S. in this case, and some have diverted. What's the decision-making process here when there is no telling as to when this will come to an end?
Well, Marlene, basically, like Nikita has alluded to, that ships are in the business of delivering cargo. What I think these ships would do, or the principals, they would look at the number of containers they have on board to see if it would be feasible to either return to the first port, well, the transshipment point, or divert and offload these containers at next port. The 2 vessels that have returned, one only had 10 containers on board. That was the first vessel that got caught in the strike action, and the second vessel had maybe around 39 or 40 containers. That one returned on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But from there onwards, the other vessels made that decision, which was a Type A trader. That was one of the larger vessels that came in and that went straight to Big Creek. That came in, offloaded, and left. The Carib Mariner, which is one of the most popular vessels, which makes weekly sailings to Belize. That is the direct shipment from Miami. They went ahead and they went down to Big Creek. I think they offloaded yesterday. The Midnight Czar, which is a next transshipment vessel from Jamaica, that is the one that is currently out at the anchorage in the Belize City Harbor. And of course the fertilizer. And I would want to touch on the fertilizer because what happened, you're looking now that this fertilizer vessel, if it has to go down to Big Creek, I'm not sure if the owners have made any decision as so far as that as yet, but the transportation cost will definitely be a factor on that, because you're looking now at 2.5 hour trip. I can't, maybe Nikita could see how many miles we're looking at. This is actually bulk cargo, and bulk cargo, it's a lot more sensitive than actually than containerized cargo, because in regards to containerized cargo, we have already sat down with trucking companies and negotiated a rate, which we think it's reasonable enough. And as I was saying to Nikita earlier this morning, it should not take up the cost any more significantly because it's a fraction of the actual cost of the goods. What we're looking at is actually the logistics and the time to get the containers from Big Creek to Belize City. The area of the country which would be impacted the most will be anything outside of Belize City, which would be the northern districts. Because it might, the numbers that we're looking at to move a container from Big Creek Port to Belize City would be $1,000 Belize dollars. And to go up to Corozal, it's probably around $2,500. But if you take that cost and you divide it into the cost of the items in the containers, really and truly, it shouldn't make much of a difference. The issue we're looking at right now is the time to get all these containers delivered to all these importers.
Now, the decision to speak out, and I know both of the chamber, other members from the private sector, and even your association, Delroy, the decision to speak out this early, it seems to be, it's a cautious one, because what I hear from you is that you don't want to put blame on either side, or pick a side, I should say, but you also need the situation to be resolved.
Right. And, I have heard, ironically, I was on, I was on a talk show the other morning and I heard my name being called out. I've been singled out as one of the persons who are a proponent to divert vessels to Big Creek. Now, I don't know what kind of powers I may have to have done that. My job as a custom broker is to ensure that my client needs his cargo. So if the vessel owners makes a decision that they want to get these cargoes diverted to wherever, our job is to ensure that we clear it. The beauty about what we do, the Asikuda program that we utilize allows us to work from anywhere in Belize. Like I said, we have to now work on that logistic part to see how we could get those containers in. Fortunately, the customs department have, which we're a very close partner with them or stakeholder, they have put in some measures where we need to see how the process, like Nikita said, you need to see how the process will work. Yeah. And if there's any need to tweak it, then we will tweak it. But we basically, again, like I said, we are no strangers to working and clearing goods from anywhere that it arrives in the country, whether it's Punta Gorda, Benque border, Big Creek Port, Belize City Port, the northern border. We will do what we need to do. And again, like we rightly said, we are not casting blame on anyone. I empathize with everyone in this situation because from the owners of the vessel, the stevedores, the Port of Belize, the merchants, and by extension, the Belizean public, because again, like I said, some people may take this opportunity to now do a little bit of price gouging. And again, I would really want to ask the chamber to, look at this very closely. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the numbers, and because price gouging has been happening. I'll be honest with you, from the pandemic. Yes, and I will attribute it to the rise in costs of getting goods into this country, because I'll tell you the freight has risen to 300% to 400% of the cost of the goods. So imagine if something used to be $1 to import into Belize, you have to add $5 to that just to get it here now. And these are external factors of the pandemic.
This is happening without a 1 week delay in clearing your shipment.
Definitely.
It's interesting that you say, so you're being accused of encouraging diversion from the port itself. That's, I mean, because as an outsider looking in, you see two things. There is an impasse because of, and it originally started with the issue of the sugar redundancy. That's one of the things that Steve Rose has been talking about. Essentially a loss of business that the Port of Belize suffered. But now they're losing more business if ships are diverted to the south because they have to be, because people need the goods that they have ordered or purchased.
It's a deja vu moment again, because you brought up the sugar, and we have a lot of discussions amongst ourselves, with colleagues, people from the business community, the shipping agents, even some of the people from the port, when we go there to release cargo. And I'm telling you, there's a genuine concern because people would really want to see this situation resolved, because if there's no resolution in it, and imagine if cargo starts diverting down to the port in Big Creek, it's not like the monies will be definitely the significant income will be lost from the port. The stevedores definitely will be losing income likewise, because now you will see a shift in where the operations will occur. What this does, it actually gives the South more business, because then you're looking now at either persons from Belize trying to maybe set up shop, for lack of a better words, in the South. You have the transporters who are down south. This is a income flow for them. I was telling Nikita earlier, likewise, that for them at CPBL, it would basically be a blessings in disguise, but he rightly corrected me and said, you know what, yes, we're not just thinking about just ourselves here, we're thinking about everyone in the country. This is a part of what you call the transportation and logistics, because in the US, ports aren't, most of these places aren't actually ordinarily next to a port. So transportation does play a big role, but the numbers are what makes, guarantees the cost and so forth. So again, like I said, I just want to emphasize that the only thing that I'm looking here at, which would be an issue, significant issue, is the time that we will take to get goods onto the shelves.
I wanted to go back to what you were saying about, the port being in Big Creek, and that would be the point of access. But the reality is that Belize City is the industrial city in the country. Most of your businesses and high estates are in Belize City. So regardless if you are shipping certain containers or certain bulks to the Big Creek port, that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone in the South needs the access to those goods, right? It would be, you have to look at where your consumers are and what they're actually purchasing. And I think my biggest concern would be the perishable goods, just because, like you said, you have the fertilizer and you have other perishable goods that can initially go bad if you just keep them in those containers. So it's not just about where they need to go, but the goods that they're carrying. And regardless of the situation, you do need to come up with a compromise, because time is not necessarily on your side.
Well, just to correct that, all ports are equipped with storage facilities, or in the case of perishable items, let's say those. And I'm pretty much sure the relationship that we have maintained with the Customs Department, items which are considered to be perishables, they will give that priority. Like I said, we have sat down, we have already contacted the Customs. They have sent out a release to us in regards to how they will be dealing with release of containers. Belize maybe need to start moving from a 8 to 12, 1 to 5 type operation. We need to do things modern now. We may need to look at Saturdays, Sundays. The world does not stop because
with the typical work day.
Yeah. A lot of people work at night.
Let me, and that would be another negotiation that has to take place. Let me bring this back to Nikita. Nikita, I know you're here, and this is not an issue of today. There have been challenges in the past in being able to hammer out deals, and essentially it's the shipping industry that kind of gets held hostage. Let me just talk about what your thoughts are on where we are today.
Well, I think let me just follow up on a discussion that was happening earlier.
Yeah.
It's important to note that the fear that could come from this, and I'm sitting here thinking the stevedores on the other side, where if we continue to allow shipping lines, and that is their call, it's not the custom brokers who decide if a ship goes south or not.
Yeah.
It's not the business community that decides that. It's the shipper that decides where would be best for me to call, and that is determined by business traffic as well as the feeling and the treatment that they receive at the respective port call. It could very well be that if we allow them to get down to Big Creek and Big Creek is able to port them, don't be surprised if you see down the road that a Zim vessel now starts to call down south, which could now lead to major problems up in the city from a people's job standpoint and from a Port of Belize standpoint in terms of business traffic. Because at the end of the day, that is a fear that could come from all this. While we're trying to solve a problem, it could result in that type of situation. That's a discussion that the shipper and the port engage in. Nothing to do with custom brokers, nothing to do with chamber, nothing to do with the respective business houses. I want to also point out that in no way is the chamber encouraging or tolerating or condoning price gouging. We would call out any member if that ever becomes an issue. This is not the time for us to do such. But I'm cautioning that with all those situations that is in front of us, increased freight, duties calculated on cost plus freight, there could be and there will be cost increases on the shelves. I'm hoping that our business people are conscientious enough to know that this is not a time to be gouging out it. And if we are ever knowledgeable of that, we will call them out. So now, with respect to the situation that we're dealing with imports now, we're not taking into consideration the export side. And that is a major, major concern. I heard on one media house earlier this week, and I've been following it because I have to stay in tune with it, because I have been on the phones, working the phones the entire weekend, trying to see how will I get my containers out. Now, in that situation, I'm dealing with a CPBL situation, but every exporter is in the same shoe. Right now, we have locked up inside the port. I have about 6 containers locked up in the port, can't move. Customers asking us, when will we get our goods? Now, let us understand the effects of that. When you put value-add products onto supermarkets overseas and the product does not arrive, there's an obligation side of that that you have to now try and build that relationship back with your customer. But then there's a loss of possibly space on the shelves. You think the supermarket, they want to see an empty shelf? They don't want to see that. If your goods did not come in, somebody else takes that spot. Then you have to now go and lobby now to try and get back that space. And getting space in a supermarket is not cheap. So that relationship that you've built over the years, these type of situation damages the relationship that you've built. That is important to note. What does that do? Now, we might be saying that that means nothing to us on the ground. Yes, it does. Because what it does now, it is employment that we're hiring to get these products produced. It is foreign exchange that will come to Belize. Now we have now stopped that at a time when we need it very most. But yet, so I heard on a media house earlier that export is not affected. On the contrary, export and imports are totally affected. When we say 700 containers, we were referring to imports and exports. It's not just imported containers. If you look at what amount of, I was listening to ASR, how many containers they did. They were doing close to 40 containers the week before the port closed. We're talking grains. We're talking citrus. You're talking, well, in this case, banana is going down south. So at least they are not affected. But exports overall is also affected. At a time when this economy cannot afford to have any of these type of losses.
I'm glad that you brought it close to the ground, because when consumers go to a grocery store and they don't see it on the shelf, they don't think about how did it not get here. So they just move on to the next store where they think they'll buy it. And that loss for us is going to be great, because Marlene had rightfully mentioned earlier this morning, we're talking about people who they have to think about and calculate and budget how they are going to purchase their next meal, how they're going to purchase certain items to make dinner and lunch and so forth. And these are people that live on a day-by-day check, right?
Yes.
So they're the ones that will primarily be affected the most because they're not going to be able to afford certain items after this.
Well, let's ask the question right now. This impasse, who's benefiting out of this? Certainly the port is not making $1.
Okay.
Importers and exporters, and for example, myself, let's use CPBL, our product have to be cold stored, which means that I have to have a plug-in. The container can't hit the ship, so I got to put it inside the port and put in a plug-in into it to give it refrigeration. That is a payment that I have to now be paying to the port for X amount of days. Is it our fault why it did not hit the ship? No. It's an impasse that is causing that. That's a cost that we will have to observe. Now, so who is making money out of this? Nobody. The stevedores are out there on a strike. How will they have revenues for this week? And I'm sorry that this thing has to reach to this level. Really empathize with them, with everybody. I don't really think that we should be here. I think there's a process that we should follow. We should sit around the table and discuss how best. And if we're not satisfied, that there's always a court of law. I will not determine here whether or not they should have a separation package. That is not my call because I'm not the court. Or the person chairing the tribunal. That's a discussion that has to happen, and I don't have enough facts to determine that. So I won't. That's not the chamber's position. Our position is that we have an impasse that is affecting the Belizean economy, and this is how it's affecting us, and it will end up affecting the Belizean public, whether in availability or in costs.
Now, the question is, and I know yesterday the rumors were swirling, there was talks of government coming in to assist with, and I don't want to get too much because the Prime Minister had said that's not so, he hasn't been asked. But do you think that it is time for a government intervention?
Well, whenever it affects the Belizean populace, I think it's important that the government starts to intervene and find their best ways to sit down and mediate. It's not to impose. Remember, this is a private sector-driven enterprise.
Yeah.
It's two entities, it's workers and a private sector. And so the government could very well say that it has nothing really to do with me. But whenever it starts to now affect the entire Belizean population, and I think the Prime Minister was responsible enough to put a minister in, with responsibility for logistics to actually try and see how best you can mediate themselves out of this.
Yeah.
It is important that the government now starts to intervene.
What's the biggest concern here for you?
If you ask me what is my biggest concern, it's twofold. One is the effects that it have on our Belizean community. I am sympathetic with that cause. I am concerned about the availability of goods that will be on the shelves. And I'm talking, you heard me earlier, my greatest concern is the medical supplies.
Yeah.
We don't have medical supplies in our hospitals. You and I know the importance of that at this current time.
Yes.
That is a major factor for us. And I think we have to have some heart in thinking that what this impasse is doing is going to affect some people's lives. That is one side of it. I'm also very much concerned that the economy could be impacted severely by not allowing for the containers to be going out, which is foreign exchange back to Belize, as well as coming in to secure availability on the shelves.
So
those are my concerns, honestly.
So you're saying very clearly, because I know there have been comments made that exports haven't been affected, but you're pointing out where you're paying an extra daily rate to be able to keep your products cold while they wait for this matter to be resolved for your products to get out.
I'm going to share with you CPBL's position as we speak. We have 5 or 6 containers in the port as we speak. I have 20 on the ground in Pomona. 20.
All to be moved out.
And all that is only CPBL. I'm not talking sugar yet. I'm not talking grains. I'm not talking all the other export. Mary Shop gave you a scenario where they have to get their containers out. I mean,
so they can pay their farmers.
Yeah. That's correct. That's correct.
Is there
the same goes for us. Remember, our export is actually what revenue comes in to pay the farmers for the deliveries of those oranges and grapefruit. Yeah. If I don't have those containers shipped, it means then that my overdraft facility at the bank will run high.
It's amazing. I like that you point out the trickle effects all the way down to the last employee. Is there any hopes for negotiation anytime soon, any optimism about how we can resolve this matter as quickly as possible?
The only hope that I'm honestly going to say, the only hope that I'm seeing in sight is to sit around the table, allow the tribunal process to work, have your appointments, and let's get the matter trashed at the boardroom. If you're not satisfied with that, there's always recourse. There's always going to the court to say that I'm not in agreement with what that is. Yes, it will result in cost to any entity, but if you believe in what you're actually saying, then let's take that process. But we cannot continue to hold the country hostage because of an impasse that simply requires two parties to sit around the boardroom, in the boardroom, around the board table. The entire country must not pay for all of that.
Yeah. And as you said, that is the very clear call from the chamber at this point. Come back to the tribunal and see if they can hammer out a deal. What's the way forward for you, Delroy?
Well, for us, like I said, we are like always what you would refer to as the first responders, because ordinarily, like I said, once the containers are coming in, we start making our preparations with our documentations and so forth. We were proactive enough to, like I said, reach out to the Customs Department, and they had already implemented their plans, which we are grateful for. Again, it's just for us to work out the little nuts and bolts. I will echo exactly what Nikita has been echoing. This situation needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved once and for all. It's been dragging out for too long. You know, I am of the firm belief, I believe in our country, developing our country. You know, I am telling you what we do as custom brokers and the interaction that we have with people moving to Belize. We sometimes wonder, okay, you know, what do you see here in Belize? These people, you know, they vacation where we live. That's one of the phrases that a lot of people use. Yes, foreign exchange on the export end is equally important to importation coming in, and I can empathize with with CPBL because we had cases before where there were similar strike actions, and we had to foot that bill for any additional costs. You know, it's unfortunate that people don't see these occurrences, but it's real because I can tell you, and I know about the exportation, there's a chart that is looked at and it has to be maintained at a certain temperature, because if that chart shows that that product temperature has dropped, then Nikita don't get his premium price for his products. You know, so the trickle down effect, it's large, it's great. It's everyone that you can think about is being affected by this. Like I said, the union.
Let me just ask very clearly, sorry, because now I'm still stuck on that 20 container on the ground, Nikita. What's the estimated loss at this point? Because you're already at a loss.
Every container value for us is about $40,000 to $50,000 US. Every container.
And
I'm talking reefer containers. If it's dry containers, it's a little less because the product inside there is far less. So the dry containers would value anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000 US.
Mm-hmm. And is this something that every day the additional costs, the costs accrue?
Well, it has, because remember, these are refrigerated containers, so I have to now be plugging them in to keep them chilled.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, that would have already been on the ship on its way on to its destination point. So I would not have had those costs of refrigerating. But the bigger picture to that, the refrigeration cost is the smallest. The bigger picture to that is the damage to the relationship that you and your customer have.
Yeah.
You have not met the obligation under the terms of your contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the difficulty with that is, how do you repair a reputation of failure to delivery? That is almost... especially when you try and explain. I mean, I've been on the phones trying to make sure that they understand that report. Every single message from Mr. Lane that is sent out, I've sent to all our customers to ensure that this is not a CPBL failure. It's not an act of God, but it's something that is beyond my control.
Yeah.
I really can't move those containers.
Yeah.
Now that's a loss. The loss also to the government side of that is the loss of foreign exchange to come to Belize.
And when you're talking about international clients, they need predictability.
Oh yes. Oh,
and
yes.
stability.
That's what they don't sign a contract with you until you've built that reputation to show that you have the ability to deliver on schedule in terms of what they would want it. They will send you, I want the container here in my destination at this date. You do the calculation in terms of how early you have to ship it to arrive it there at that date. That's what our responsibilities are. Now, that is when you have a very good relationship with your shipping lines, ensuring with your port, ensuring that it can get in there at an hour, get clearance, and get out of Belize as early as possible. That is not the case as we speak today.
Right. So what you're trying to say to us in layman's terms is that we could be seeing a loss with those relationships if we continue.
Definitely.
Okay, great.
And that is a valuable part of this business. Relationship is something that we can't get rid of. It's without that we can't survive.
And how do you see the border possibly being open in the north, probably sort of helping out this situation just a little bit? Is there any kind of optimism in that angle?
The border opening for us will only allow us to have goods that we traditionally would traffic, for raw material side. That is normally what we would have from there. From the border standpoint, that is open for us to trade. That happens as we speak.
Yeah.
You talk about the north. An important part of the north right now for us to traffic export goods is a Mexico-Belize partial scope / free trade agreement. That is what would then encourage exports from Belize to move in that direction. Why? Currently, as we speak, Mexico does not have that agreement in place, and so every good that leaves Belize export-wise has a tax, has a duty that is attached at the Mexican side. So if we can have an agreement like we have in Guatemala, where our goods are free flow, then you could see much more products from Belize moving in northern direction.
Yeah. All right, well, gentlemen, you gave us a lot of information this morning. I think it's important to put this into perspective, how businesses and ultimately consumers are being affected, and the economy of the country as well. Delroy, thank you for breaking down the numbers. I think we should all be on high alert for price gouging. And it was a matter we brought up with the minister earlier this week. He says they are putting plans in place to do more surveillance. But of course, the major issue at hand is to see a resolution with this strike. Thank you for sharing your perspectives.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much.
With that, we're going to go ahead and take a break.
Yes, and when we get back, we're going to be speaking with Diane Locke, who is the head of office at the IOM.
That's right. We're going to be talking about migrant issues and the work that the International Organization of Migration is doing in the country. That's coming up in a few. Stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Sí, mire,
Eso casi no me gusta hablar a mí porque me da mucha tristeza, tita. Vino en la tarde, porque vino de cobrar y se fue. Para allí nomás hay un chino que vende pollo. Cuando él ya viene, le dan aquí por detrás, ¿ves? Que fue que le agarraron todo esto aquí.
Ese dan porrazo, que eran como $3,000, $4,000. ¿Qué? ¿De dónde podíamos? No? Tenía mi pistillo. Nada. Mira, hasta ahí llegó. Aquí está, mira. Por eso es que yo hablo así. Mi nombre es Pedro Flores Redondo. Venimos de allá de Honduras, venía para acá de estos lados a poder trabajar. Y así que luego que me quedé aquí, pues aquí yo me siento tan bien, más que me están ayudando la gente. Y aquí hay frijoles, hay arroz, pues están buenos aquí para trabajar y ¿cómo se llama? Pues no hay trabajo allá. Y aquí pude hallar trabajo. Toda la finca estuve trabajando en la 1, la 2, la 3. De allí fue cuando ya me vine para acá, la finca 6. Y trabajé 18 años.
Los migrantes tienen una gran contribución positiva al país. La mano de obra es muy esencial. Hay ciertas prácticas que deben estar cíclicas, tienen su periodo y tiene que estarse haciendo a tiempo y muchas veces tal vez no se logra completar en el debido tiempo debido a falta de mano de obra. Entonces ahí juegan un papel muy importante y contribuyen positivamente porque la producción se logra sacar a tiempo, con buena calidad, que es el objetivo. El señor Pedro Flores lo tengo muy en cuenta en mi historia. Él forma parte de la historia mía. El primer persona que me encontré en campo que iba a estar trabajando al lado mío era don Pedro. Él era el cortero y yo era el juntero, el que cargaba el racimo. No se me olvidan las palabras que él me decía. ¿Ves cómo es de duro trabajar aquí? Es duro. Estudiar, andar al colegio y aprender algo más. Y siempre regresate al banano.
It's a big community with a lot of people that have come from neighboring countries for one reason or the other. Many have been here for many years, a whole generation, I would say. And some of the needs are that they need to get their papers in order. We still have people here that are not regularized. People who have been on work permits, for example, for 10 years, 15 years more, and they have made their life here. They are not thinking about going back to Honduras or El Salvador or where they came from, so it would be a big help for them if they move on and get their temporary permits for staying in Belize and eventually their Belize nationality.
El señor Flores es una persona de tercera edad y él hemos estado ayudando en llenar los requisitos para la residencia porque él está aplicando para residencia. Le hemos ayudado también en las traducciones, nosotros pagamos el costo de las traducciones. También hemos ayudado en pagar unas extensiones que él no ha podido pagar y también le hemos ayudado a sacar su permiso de dependiente y también en los exámenes médicos también ayudamos en eso.
What we want to bring across is the fact that Mr. Pedro gave 25 years of his life to this country working in the banana industry. That's an industry that contributes a lot to Belize's foreign exchange, and it's predominantly run by migrants. So for us, that was important to show that people like him have given a tremendous contribution to Belize, doing this sort of work, which Belizeans shy away from doing, and he has done this consecutively for almost 25 years. So we want to say thanks to Mr. Pedro. We appreciate what he has done for the country, and we do wish him well in his application for permanent residence.
Al mirar que tantos años que yo estoy aquí, pensando en los papeles míos, ¿verdad? De ir a Treso, yo no podía. Ahora yo me siento bien. Yo creo que hasta voy a llorar, porque nunca he llorado.
Yo sé que lo único que está moviendo aquí corazones es nuestro Padre Celestial, que es el Padre de nosotros, de todos. Porque eso es lo único que yo he hecho, orar y orar por mí, por él y por mis hijos. Y yo sé que por medio del Señor es que los ha tocado a ustedes, y el Señor es que pone la semilla de mostaza para que nosotros hayamos logrado este proceso que estamos haciendo.
Are back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today. Another very interesting one, and we are here to find out more about the work of the IOM in Belize. We have the head of office, Diana Locke, with us, and the topic of conversation is migration and the status of migrants in the country. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Yes.
If I could start up by saying that you saw the video that we aired earlier regarding Mr. Pedro, and he's just one story of a vast range of experiences that we've met in the field.
Yeah.
So Mr. Pedro is a migrant who came to Belize over 25 years ago when we did our hub, the first hub we had in February of last year in Bella Vista. We encountered him. Sad to say, he was following up on his permanent resident application, which he thought he had filed, but he had a receipt for $100 that he paid somebody, and there was never an application. So we looked at his case. We found out that he was in a legal status for almost 20-something years, and when he got injured, as the story indicated, he then lost his status because he had to retire on medical grounds, and he's then collecting his Social Security pension, but he no longer had a legal status because his work permit had expired. And so that said, Mr. Pedro found out the hard way, and we were really sorry about his case, and we kind of adopted it at the office. Yeah. And then our donor decided that they were going to step in and assist. And so they then allowed us to use the funds that we have to help him to get a legal status. With the kindness of the Director of Immigration, she reviewed his case and she allowed him to get a dependence permit on his son, and we have now completed his entire application for permanent residence. It's in and it's waiting to be processed. So Mr. Pedro, after 25 years, is going to probably become a permanent resident. And this is the situation that we find for many people in the industries with work permits, that they've been here for a significant amount of time. Yeah. Working in those industries. I think earlier you all were talking about foreign exchange, earning foreign exchange for Belize over all these years, making their contribution. And it's not only in the banana industry, but it's banana, citrus, sugar, in the Spanish Lookout area, where you have a lot of these people that support industries. And so migrants are important in any country. So
before we go any further, because I do want to make a distinction, I know our viewers very often, there is a amalgamation of definitions.
Yes.
And I think it's really important that we address it as early as possible, especially given the fact that there was a recent situation with refugees in the country. What's the difference between a migrant and a refugee?
The term migrant includes refugees.
Yes.
The refugees are a segment. So a migrant is any person who is not living in his or her country of birth. So, for example, if I was born in Jamaica and I'm now here with a permanent, if I'm a citizen of Belize, that changes. But if I am a permanent resident, I'm still considered a migrant. However, I must clarify, for the international standard, when they're doing censuses or reports, a migrant is looked at as any person who is not born in that country, irrespective of the status that you currently hold. So when you're counting migrants from, let's say, for example, from Udessa, they look at your place of birth. And so a migrant may have transitioned to a national, and that would not be picked up because it's there. So you're looking at a large number. So migrants on a whole is the big picture. And then you have different elements of, you have labor migrants, you have tourism. As you get up on a plane and you travel, you become a migrant. You have those persons who, for purposes of marriage, would move. You have persons who, for work, as I mentioned before, whether it's be seasonal or agricultural work. And a refugee now is a person who is moving from his or her place of origin to another place seeking refuge and protection. And so they are a smaller portion of that group of persons that in the bigger picture.
Yes.
So they're seeking a status based on fair prosecution, clearly defined outlined terms outlined for them.
Yeah, they're running to safety.
To safety.
To safety,
Right.
and hoping a country will accept them.
Right.
I wanted to go back to the ideals of how we accept migrants in Belize, right? This culture of accepting migrants in Belize. I like that you talked about how as soon as you move, get on a plane and you go somewhere else,
Exactly.
you are a migrant, which is the correct definition of migration. What is the process of obtaining permanent residence in Belize? Why did it take him 25 years to be able to move? And because he has been contributing, like you said, just as many other migrants have in this country for so long. Why does it take so long for them to move out of a work permit into a permanent residency, into a citizenship?
It's really very simple. Lack of information.
Okay.
And navigating the services. I think sometimes even Belizeans who would contact me and say, I need to renew my passport, what do I need to do? It's just that simple. And they're battling with the language difference.
Yeah.
So people have offered, like in his case, they offered to help him and it didn't work out because someone took $100 from him but never completed an application form. And so it's lack of information. That is one of the things that IOM has been focusing on through the Integrated Response on Migration project, which is funded by USAID. They're focusing strictly on providing services to people like Mr. Pedro or any migrant in Belize who wants information and services to follow through on getting their status regularized. We have been focusing through 4 of our hubs. We have 4 hubs located in Bella Vista. We have one in Bella Vista run by Humana. We have one in Kaya run by Red Cross. We have the YWCA in Belize City, and we have the first one that we opened up is the Child Development Foundation in Belmopan. And so those 4 offices have been working within the communities that they operate to help people to, one, to get information through another one of our programs and also to provide services.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very busy in the next few months as they continue to help people through the amnesty process.
Yeah.
They have been working with people who are entitled to a status under the laws of Belize, and that status would be either through marriage, through permanent residence, through either a work permit or permanent residence through being a minor who lived in Belize from the time of they were a minor child for 10 years or more. The law provides for that. So we have been focusing in assisting people who met the criteria under the law but just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And now with the amnesty, we're going to expand that to helping people who qualify under the criteria for the amnesty.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working along with the Immigration Ministry to go out and into the community. We have done that already. We had been to 8 communities. We had visited 8 communities in different parts, more in the south of Belize, and we had encountered a lot of people, approximately 1,000, a little over 1,000 persons in our mobile hubs, And we saw from that exercise that the majority of people that we encountered during that period of time were persons who were entitled to a status in Belize. I would say roughly about 60%. Out of that 60%, there was the significant number were people married to Belizeans. They were living in really remote areas and couldn't be bothered to take that trip to come in, to bring their documents, to get the turnaround and transportation, to get to the location, to do this, to get themselves documented. And so they just live in their community and kind of happy with their families. Some of them had like 10 children. They were here for 60 years. We saw a lot of that, particularly in the south.
That's interesting.
And so out of the number that we have under the amnesty that's disclosed, I think a fairly large number of persons are persons who would normally have been entitled to a status.
Who would qualify?
Who would qualify for a status in Belize under the current laws.
Yeah.
Not even under the amnesty. There will be a significant portion, though, that will qualify under the amnesty. And so we're definitely willing to work to help those persons come forward, get their documentation prepared. We do have the ability for those people who are really in vulnerable positions to help them to actually pay to get their documents done.
Yeah.
Some of the services that are currently provided by the hubs include paying for birth certificates, foreign birth certificates, and in some cases local birth certificates for people who need that in the application process. We pay for passports, foreign passports. We pay for, if you need a death certificate or you need the translation of a document, we do translations. And so we have in cases paid for the medical for persons who are applying for the status. We've not so far paid for the police record, but we've paid for medical, which is a substantial cost. So we have costed the services and we have put aside, there's a budget. And so all of these hubs offer that to people who are really vulnerable and cannot afford to pay for it.
Let me just come back to the core of the issue here, and I guess essentially the objective of the work of the IOM. Why is it important that this population of persons who are essentially undocumented are able to seek some sort of status in the country if they're eligible?
It's important for us because our primary mandate is to ensure safe and orderly migration and dignified migration. So a lot of our programs are aimed at helping people whether they want to leave or whether they want to stay. I can tell you a little bit quickly about the other programs that we do and how they impact each other. The largest program we're running right now is the Western Hemisphere program, which is operational, and that entails 18 activities and a lot of capacity building. So we do a lot of training on human trafficking, understanding human trafficking, identifying human trafficking. We're offering a diploma program at Galen University. Under WHP, we've provided support to the Labor Department. We're providing support to the Ministry of Human Development with their legislation, updating their legislation. We are doing a digitization project with the Ministry of Immigration, the Nationality and Passport Department. And then we have the Assisted Voluntary Return Program that you might have heard of. This is the program that helps people who no longer want to stay in Belize to leave. So in September of last year, we got permission from the government to assist migrants who were in Belize in an irregular status, did not qualify for anything, but that they can leave without any penalties. And so we have been taking people back in that process. We've taken back persons who are irregular. We've taken back asylum seekers who no longer wish to stay here but to return to their country of origin. We've taken back a significant amount of minors, unaccompanied minors. That number is growing. And we see that happening, increasing. And so that program basically took back, since we started to do this in June of 2020, we've taken back about 239 persons. They're provided with support in their country when they return. So to help them integrate, that they don't want to leave again. That program and the WHP Western Hemisphere program is funded by the PRM, Department of Population of Refugee and Migration in the US. So those are two of that. And then of course the IRM program that I talked about, they are also focused on data collection, statistics, trying to help. We're doing projects with the SIB. We recently had the analysis of the migration data from the 2010 census. We're waiting for the results of a labor force survey that was done in September, but that had a new component for migration, so we're going to get some more information there. And so the IRM is focused on trying to help government get data moving.
To really know the picture.
Right, to know the picture is, and of course we're working with the government to help them to set up a migration policy. The framework for migration policy.
I want to get to that, but before we get there, because I think the migration policy is key. But How many migrants would you say are currently in the country?
We really, well,
there's documented and undocumented.
We don't have that specific information.
Yeah.
We can only guess.
Best guess.
Migrants, the formula that is used puts it at about 60,000. And remember that includes both legal and irregular migrants. So it could be that
and
the
by
number
regular and irregular,
regular means those who have a status. No.
Or
Regular means that the process is complete. They're entitled to remain here as a permanent resident, maybe a citizen, whatever. And then you have those who are irregular. And then, of course, in that category, you have those who are entitled to a status and haven't done anything, and then those who are not entitled to anything, but maybe entitled to something now that the amnesty is here. And so those are the figures that we're trying to help government to establish.
Okay. So coming back to it, though, because there's a core issue here, and I don't want us to just brush past it, and that's the stigma that exists in the country when we talk about migrants. Really interesting, and I think it's always thrown around how we use words like expats in some cases, and then that other word that we try not to say for migrants from Central American countries. So they do the same thing. They move from one country to another, hoping to be able, for different reasons, hoping to be able to establish themselves in Belize. How do you work on reducing the stigma that exists in the country? Because a lot of times what you hear from people is a fear that somehow access and resources may be taken away from them and given to others who weren't born here.
I think first of all, we need to recognize if these persons are making a contribution and if they're not. And I think in most cases they are. I would say in the majority of cases they're making a contribution. They're working in our agricultural sector, and we need to recognize those things. Once we're accepting of those things, the contribution that they make, I think the attitude will change. And I think it's because people don't know, right? This process didn't start last week or last month or last year. This process started way back. When we started an economic citizenship program, we still had things going on. This was in the 80s. We had refugees coming in the 90s. In the late 90s, we had other programs that were on. And so the government, in its own policies, encouraged migration to a certain extent. And so in my former life, I saw what happened from the time I returned to Belize in 1992 to where we are today. So I have a pretty good idea of what has happened. It just didn't happen. It's been happening from way back then, but nobody said anything. And so now we're getting up and we're speaking about it, which is good. But we also need to look at the positive side of it and not necessarily the negative side. When I read files in the immigration department as the director at the time for permanent residents, yes, indeed, there was a large number of persons from Central America that applied, and they didn't have a whole lot of resources. But there were some files in there that I read that I was extremely impressed about with the business skills that you saw in preparation for businesses and how they had all the documentation. So there are people who are given the opportunity, can turn their life around. I want to say to Belizeans, let us look at ourselves. We go across to the United States and we do some of the same things that they're doing here. And we do it for the same reasons. So let us not crucify those persons that are here. Many people have them cutting the grass. They're doing work within the homes. And if we really stop and we look back at what we encounter on a day-to-day basis, we are using some of the skills of these services of these persons. We just don't want to acknowledge it. But we have to be mindful. It has to be managed and it must be balanced. I would be the first one to say that. It has to be managed and it has to be balanced. I'm pleased, IOM, and personally from my point, pleased with the fact that we're doing the amnesty, because after the amnesty is over, things have to change. And that would be a good starting point to make those changes. So I want to say to Belizeans, yes, things are changing, and unfortunately, it's not only in Belize, it's all over the world. So let us try to get the best out of it. Let us work with the government as private citizens, you can have your say. You can ask them to do certain things. You can ask for information, and let us together work to make this better. So I want to encourage people.
Have you seen a shift in the openness?
The calls I get from Belizeans who are trying to help migrants surprises me, right? Because I had a friend who contacted me a while ago, and I saw her recently, and she contacted me because somebody who has been working in her community, cutting the grass in their community for 30 years, eventually got picked up by the police, and everybody was up in arms. So they managed to get him released, and I said to her, this is probably what you can do. Go to immigration after 30 years, all of you, he's working for all of you. You can demonstrate that he has a right to be considered for regularization. That's the determination of the Department of Immigration. But they never got around to doing it. So I saw her recently, and she says, we never got to finish it, but the Amnesty, we're hoping to take advantage of the Amnesty. So there are people out there who are seeing situations that they can assist people, and these are people who are in your community.
So that's from the Belizean side. What about the migrant population that you do encounter? Is there a level of fear?
Yes, definitely there is a level of fear. They're afraid of coming out from where they live to access the services because of the police and the perception of the police treatment and immigration treatment.
Yes.
There is that. And so this is why we were happy to go into those communities to kind of take the information into them and to try to provide some support services. There is the fear. There is the lack of finances. People generally feel the language barrier is another major issue, and IOM is trying, along with many other persons that we're discovering, to offer English as a second language, and we're trying to ramp that up a bit more so that these people can properly integrate. What we want to do is, after the amnesty is over, to look at the data and to see how through IOM programs we can provide more services so that these people can integrate, to speak the language, if they're operating a little business and they need a little help and guidance in the right direction to make it better, so that they can contribute to business taxes or whatever it is, trade license, whatever. We're looking at plans and programs to do things like that to help. And we're not the only agency. There are other UN agencies that focus on, like UNICEF, for example, on children. How do they assist children and families? So it's not just IOM. It's a wide range of persons, and we're really hoping that we can get data out there that people can use to make informed decisions and to provide more help.
So according to you, I want to hear your perspective. This is a question for you, not head of office of IOM. I hear you addressing Belizeans. You talk about the stigma and so forth. So then, what makes you a Belizean?
What makes me a Belizean?
What makes you a Belizean? What makes a person a Belizean?
By birth. I need to clarify too. We talk about migrants, but if you look at a migrant family, what I have seen is that the migrant family may be 10 persons. The family that we perceive to be migrants, 10 persons. Of that 10, 8 are Belizeans, and the parents are migrants. So we have to be conscious of that. That child may come from a migrant family, but that child has all the rights that you and I do because that child is a Belizean. Right? And so that's important to take into consideration too. And so I think I heard on one of the shows people talking about bringing back the test for nationality and those kinds of things. And I think those are good things. I know when I was at immigration, the staff wanted to bring back the tests. And I would hope that at some point in the future it comes back, because that would ensure some level of integration.
I would agree with you, because oftentimes we speak with migrants and they know our laws better than most Belizeans. And I think it comes with the fact that they have to know, right? They have to know who to talk to, they have to know the documentations that they need and so forth. So I would imagine that would be some sort of, I guess, assurance and security for the Belizean population who are born Belizean. That doesn't always make you Belizean. Born Belizean is one thing, but it's culture the next thing.
Exactly.
Culture, that's completely different. But I still do think, I think the issue is education helps with stigma. When people understand, and I use the example very often when explaining the same thing, that we have family members who live in the diaspora. They are migrants. We don't think of them that way, but they are. Now, I want to come back to the migration policy, though,
Okay.
Because this is really the crucial point. Once we set the policy as to how people are allowed to migrate to the country, who's allowed, what terms, whether there's a test or an English course or whatnot, where are we in establishing this policy?
Well, the program began in 2018 when they began the work, and in 2019 there were a series of 2 reports that were done that fed into the preparation for the policy. So unfortunately the project stopped in 2019 December, and it's currently on pause. We at IOM, when I joined in May of 2020, we were trying to get the project moving through the Western Hemisphere program, and we were able to get permission to continue with identifying the consultant to continue the work, and then from there we had the first draft of the migration policy. That came out in December of 2020. So we have shared that with the then new government, and we are now waiting for the government to begin the process. They've indicated they wanted to restart in January. And to restart, we need to establish the steering committee, which would be made up of CEOs that are determined by the government. We only act in an advisory and support capacity. This is a process that has to be led by government.
Yeah.
So the steering committee needs to be appointed, and then from the steering committee, we need the members of the steering committee and the technical committee to actually look at the first draft of the migration policy to give us their feedback. What we have recognized that we will have to do whenever the process restarts, the consultant had done a significant amount of interviews with the private sector and different non-governmental partners. We feel that because so much has happened in a year, that he should go back and have a shorter interview with those persons to see if their views or positions have changed.
Yeah.
And then he has to focus on doing the interviews within government, because that was what was lacking the first time around. And so hopefully that process could be completed in the year or within 9 months or so. And so hopefully by December, we would be able to have the final draft that would be presented to the government. Now, there can be a policy. So and everybody thinks it's necessary. The resources to put that policy in place would have to be made, a conscious effort to be made to put those things in place, and the policy cannot implement itself. So it will have to be driven by the Ministry of Immigration, and perhaps we've spoken to Jamaica, and even at the highest level, the section, that the unit is under the Office of the Prime Minister, and they have challenges getting it implemented. Hopefully that will be the case in Belize because we are in a different situation. And so when the policy is done at the end of this year, hopefully, it's the implementation part of it, and how government will choose to go about with the implementation. But meanwhile, we are strongly encouraging all government partners, anybody in the private sector, focus on data, because data is necessary to make policy decisions. I recall when I was at immigration, Mrs. Estrada at that time served at the northern border, and she was very good at, on the long holiday weekends, cataloging the amount of Belizeans who left the country. That was a staggering number.
Yeah.
And it's every long holiday weekend. And when you equate the finances to that of people going out, then that's another story.
Yeah.
So there are lots of things that you could look at, information, data that would be of interest to the business community, data for health, data for education, data for migration decisions.
So, we're running out of time so quickly. I do want to get the information in about the Amnesty program, so people can know very clearly whether they qualify, how they qualify, and what's the process.
The government is going to be releasing the requirements and the criteria. Well, I think they've already done some of that. Yes. So I think they're going to be putting the final version out. We were in discussions with them yesterday about going out into the community with them to inform persons in at the village level of what this is all about, and sharing the documentation with them. We have offered to translate that information into Spanish, because that's important. If you put it in English and the migrants are there, we're willing to translate it, and we're willing to print it to get it out as much as we can and to support them in that process. We're also looking at how we can do more communication with them on that. But basically, there are 8 categories that were identified in that process. And so the department has gone through and listed all of the requirements under those categories. Again, as I said, we're going to be working at that, and we're going to be translating those into Spanish and trying to help them get it out. But we're committed to try to support them as best as we can in the process, because if we don't get the information to people and they don't come out, the amnesty is not going to be a success, and then we're going to have the same situation persisting after the end of this year. So it's very important that people come out and participate in the amnesty, take advantage of it, because I'm sure, as I said, the situation will change after the amnesty is over.
Yeah.
The government will probably begin its enforcement, step up its
like
enforcement
a grace
activities.
period. It's
Exactly.
like you may qualify, take advantage
exactly.
now. After this,
We've been advised that it would be a four, and I hope I'm not speaking ahead of time, and that the immigration authorities will come and they will talk with you to share this information for the public. But we understand that it's going to run from April for a period of 4 months until the end of July for registration purposes, and then the processing for the remainder of the year. So it's kind of like a 10-month exercise. We had asked for consideration a little bit longer, but they explained why they couldn't. And we understand there's a cost to everything. And so our objective is to try to reach as many people as we can in the communities to come out to take advantage of this, because after this is over, we don't know when there'll be another. We don't want to think about another, but we would like to know that people are properly documented in the country so that we could reduce the inequalities, we could reduce the vulnerabilities and that sort of stuff.
Yes. And how do people get in touch if they want to find out more?
We have the hubs, and I think we provided you with the slides for that information. And so we would be having that, they could call our office. Our office is in Belize City. 223-9500 is our number. And then we have on the screen, we have those places that would be accepting and providing information and helping people to complete applications. And of course, we are hoping that perhaps in the next month or so, in February, sometime in February, we can partner with the Ministry of Immigration, the National and Passport Department that is leading the amnesty, to go into communities to actually help people complete the forms.
Yes.
What we would like to do is to arrange, when we go into a community, to do a lot of preparation, perhaps take medical, take somebody who takes the photograph, put all the services there so that when they come, they can access those services right at that location, and when they leave from there, the application is complete. Because the process is that you have to photocopy all the pages of the passport, you have to complete a form, you have to have photographs, all of those things, medical certificates, different things that you have to provide, birth certificates. So we're hoping to go with the department into the communities at a later date after they've done their awareness campaign, to go out and provide the actual services. And then they also can be obtained through the hubs, right?
All right. Well, this is really just the start of this conference.
Exactly.
There will be a lot more information we can be able to dive into, but it really does set the tone and help people understand the work that you've been doing.
And I will tell you quickly about one other project two. We are currently finishing a project, it ends this month, with the migration and climate change, and that's with the Ministry of Sustainable Development. And next week, we're going to be launching another project that we got with them from the Lives in Dignity Foundation. That will be coming. The details will be coming out. It's going to be funded by the EU, and there'll be a press release next week. But it's a project that will impact 5 communities in Western Belize. We're hoping that it can be a real big success, because if it is, we're going to be helping government to look for funding to go replicate that same project in other communities in Belize. It's looking at drainage, building a polyclinic, hurricanes, upgrading hurricane shelters, training people for fire brigade, getting a water bowser for them to control forest fires. So that's in those 5 communities, and so that's another one that we're doing.
A whole lot of work ongoing.
Yes, so we'll be talking to you more than that.
We have about 7 projects going on.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and we saw Pedro's story, and there are many more.
Yes, there is.
That are yet to be told. So we'll have more information, especially as this program rolls out. I think people are going to need as much information as possible to understand. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you, and I hope the media is going to be a good supporter of getting the information out there. Migrants apparently are into the social media, from what the researches that we've done. The social media are big on the social media, and they're big on the radio, not so much television. So we have to take those things into consideration as we go out and get that information out there.
All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back,
we're going to be making vegan food.
That's right.
I'm excited. Stick around and we'll be there.
eCash, bill payment is extremely convenient, and all utility companies accept eCash payments. What's even better? You get to split bills with your roommates, siblings, or whoever you desire. Simply open your eCash app, go to Bill Pay, tap the respective utility company, enter the information, and pay the bill. Then tap the transaction made. Tap Split the bill. Select Evenly. Send the request to who you are splitting the bill with, and get notified when they pay. Talk about making life easy and avoiding confusion. You can split the bill for restaurants, grocery stores, and for any eCash payment you make. To find your next yummy meal, hair treatment, or chill spot, simply open the app and utilize the geolocation service to see nearby businesses that accept eCash. Geolocation and bill payment make life a whole lot easier.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
It is what I need to take me where I want to go.
To learn more about our various programs, visit our website at www.galen.edu.bz or email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz.
And come soar with the Galen Eagles.
The ministry is collaborating with SpeedNet Communications to have a vaccination campaign for children ages 12 to 17 years. Children who get vaccinated will get a chance to win fabulous prizes, including backpacks with supplies, Nintendo Switch, tablets, book tuitions, and MiFi with 3 months data. Only children 12 to 17 years old can participate in this smart and Ministry of Health and Wellness raffle. At vaccination sites, each vaccinated child, upon being vaccinated, will receive a ticket to place their name, age, date of birth, BHIS number, and contact information on, which will be filled out by a parent or legal guardian. The sooner a person vaccinates, the more chances he or she will have to win. Get vaccinated, Belize! Vaccination saves lives.
No make no sense at all. No kind of sense. That Belize video when I have that sign up there in China for.
That not in China at all, that in Spanish.
You understand what it said then?
Yeah. It said wear your face mask properly, cover your nose and your mouth.
Will help prevent the spread of COVID to others. Together we could make Belize safe.
Wear your mask properly over your mouth and nose to protect yourself and others. Together we can keep Belize COVID-19 safe.
Digi, the premier name in voice and data, is also the country's leading provider of innovative services and solutions for small business and enterprise. At Digi Business, we offer solutions, tools, and applications to support your business needs. Reduce costs, improve efficiency, and excel in a changing world where no idea is too big and no task is too small. From technology advising to design implementation and management, our team of qualified solution sales and specialists can develop a reliable and robust infrastructure, allowing you to spend more time on what matters most, your business. Visit us online to explore how DigiBusiness innovative products and solutions can help your business reduce costs and improve efficiency.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Looking for low-cost television advertising? Have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
And we are back. And of course, we are moving into our final segment for today. Always happy to have back with us Chef India Camille, who is a well-known raw vegan chef. She also does vegan food and vegetarian food, and now author of her very own cookbook. Good morning.
Greetings.
Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you, Marlene.
Oh,
lovely.
It's so great to have you back.
Embodies her entire outfit and her book.
Yes, it's 420 pages.
Yeah,
236 recipes. It has milk, it has salads, it has cheeses, it has desserts, it has entrees, it has all of those things.
So for everybody who's been missing your cooking,
yes, COVID.
We can learn how to do it ourselves.
That's right.
I highly doubt it'll taste the same in there.
No, it will taste the same because that's why the book was created. So you can make it exactly how I make it, and you don't have to worry. And we're in COVID, so we have to learn how to take care of ourselves right now.
Yes.
Everybody is downsizing a little bit, the economy to slow down a little bit, and people to take their health more serious now if they weren't taking it serious before. So the book is an excellent resource for everyone, especially us Belizeans.
So I'm just trying to figure out, you sat down and you put together over 200 recipes for your book.
Well, I can't take all of the credit for it.
Okay.
Because my husband, he's been writing down these recipes for the past 10 years because I just refuse to write down the recipes.
Because when people go to order it, he has to go call and ask you.
Yes, and he goes, well, what did you put in that? Mainly because he wanted it for himself. He wanted to eat for himself. And he said, if anything ever happens to you, then I'm not going to be able to make this stuff. So make I write down the recipes. He asked me, what'd you put in? I don't know. So now he would stand right over me and he says, what's that? What's that?
That's a good guess. Thank you.
He has the master book, and it's 13 years of experience. It's 13 years of me as a living foodist, as plant-based for about 16 years. And as a living foodist for 13.
I just smell all of the spices.
And you know, it's more than a recipe book. It actually is an informational book as well. It has 100+ pages of information on how to eat, when to eat what you want to eat, how the goodie works, you know, how the cycles of the body works, all of these different things, how to combine your food, you know, what ingredients are optimal and what ingredients are not. All of these different informational to really allow anyone to transition at whatever level they're at and implement more of a living food lifestyle.
So I just, you know, before we get into our recipe making, because, you know, we've had you so many times, you've had your restaurants open at one point, but now you are shifting to online classes.
Yeah, because, you know, COVID lick us out, man. You know, COVID lick us out, but then also it's a broader range, and I think it's more accessible, because it's one thing to come and buy the food, and then it's another thing to learn yourself and empower yourself to be able to, you know, learn how to make this food, eat healthier. And the other thing is that people can take the classes at their own pace. So that's our cake. That's the cake. And there's a chocolate cake in the recipe book. And this is not cooked, everyone. This is all live. It's actually made with coconut. That's our lasagna, you know. So our one form of our lasagna, that one is our banana pudding with mulberries. And all of these ingredients were found right here in Belize. So, you know, that's another thing. I think that us Belizeans, a lot of us don't even know what we have that's right here.
All right, really, and the courses that you do have, oh my gosh, you're making me hungry. But you've also, I mean, you said something earlier. I think COVID has kind of shifted everyone's focus into trying to be healthier. But it's hard because we never learned how to eat right. And there's eating right for regular food. There's switching out meat for going as a vegetarian or pescatarian.
Then or starchitarian.
And then there's vegan, and then there's raw vegan. And so there's this whole world of diet, creating food for yourself. That is healthier. We know plant-based is healthier, but people don't know how.
Well, you know, it is a journey, I think, for everyone, especially, you know, in Belize, we love our traditional foods, you know, our cultural foods. I think all over the world, people are attached to their cultural foods. So veganism, plant-based, vegetarianism, especially living food isms, all of these isms, you know, they're relatively new to most people in Belize as far as like how to prepare them. Because I had a client the other day, she ordered a whole pizza. And when for her family, and her children had the pizza, and she said, "Oh my gosh, it was a miracle because my children do not eat vegetables. They don't like vegetables. So somehow you made them like vegetables." And it's really just about having the exposure and the knowledge to know, like, listen, I don't want to overcook that zucchini because then it's going to be mush, or you know. So it's learning how to process these foods, and it's a step-by-step process. But if you're willing to start anywhere, you can learn so much, and the internet is such a great resource for education. And of course the book. Get the book. And you need the book.
You have taught us all that living food, as you call it, or raw, being a raw vegan, where you don't cook the food that your vegetables that you're having, that it can be delicious still. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. That pizza, you said it and I tasted it again.
Yes. Well, you know, living food contains all of its enzymes, its nutrients, its vitamins, its minerals, and most of all, and its water and its taste. It's just about how we're going to combine things to get what we want, and what can we use as alternatives to some of the stuff that really historically and we know is not good for us anymore. So, and sacrificing. You know, because we do have to sacrifice. It does cost a little more to buy some agave than it does to buy white sugar. And even if you are using white sugar, you can still be mindful because maybe that's all you can do at that moment. But maybe you can afford to get a couple avocados and use the white sugar if you want. But it's about the mindfulness, and eventually, as you push out that frequency of change, that change will come to you as well.
All right. So let's get cooking.
Let's get into it.
I see avocados. I see papaya.
Parsley.
Cilantro. And it's cleaned. It's all nice and
what are we
cleaned out.
making?
Well, do you want to do sweet first or do you want to do savory first?
Savory first because Marlene will say sweet.
Yes, and I love sweet. So.
Okay, so we're going to start with our avocado papaya salad. And it's very, very simple. And it's also featured in the book, right?
Wonderful.
All right.
So,
Marlene will look for a recipe.
I'm gonna
so right here, the first page is marked.
I'll guide you through. I'll see if your recipe is true.
Okay, well.
Her own recipe.
I'm kidding, you know that.
Well, you know, you are funny. So listen, you have to add 2 cups of avocado right here, okay? So, yeah, okay. But we're doing a little revision, but we're going to start with the papaya, right?
Okay.
So, we're going to start with the papaya. Now,
so wait. We're talking salad, but we're talking papaya?
Yes. Well, papaya is well, this is going to be a different kind of fruit salad as well. Let's get the small bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be a different kind of fruit salad. We could go to the recipe if you want.
Okay.
I just gotta add the 2 cups of avocado right there.
Okay.
So what do
we need to do?
All right. So we have the beautiful papaya here. Right, and we're gonna start with the papaya.
You didn't this? Oh, I was gonna ask you. Where are the seeds?
Yeah, where are the seeds? Well, you know, in the States, you can you find them and there's no seeds in them when you get them.
Doesn't that make life easier?
Well, not really, because you know you don't want to eat things that doesn't have seeds because we have seeds, and if you eat seedless things, then you become seedless. So. You are what you eat. So we're gonna peel the.
All right. So let's do our seeds.
You know, Marlene. I'll be very serious.
She keeps it natural. Where are we? Over here.
I keep it 100. 100.
There are seeds.
Yes. They are seeds.
They decided to hang out in the bottom.
Yes, and you know, there's actually 2 different kind of papayas. There's actually female and there's male, and the female tend to be the ones that are more round that look like a womb. You know, and the male tend to be longer. I found that out.
Okay.
And
did not know that.
And the other thing.
Don't they say that about sweet peppers too? That there's a male and female sweet pepper?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh.
The farmer would know. Okay. I don't know. But I do know that papaya contains papain. You know, there's a lot of people, most Belizeans don't have a problem eating fruits.
It's the vegetables.
It's the vegetables that get them. But I will say that some people still have an issue with eating papaya, right? Believe it or not, because it is pungent, it has a strong smell that some people are not necessarily keen on, right? I do find people that says, oh, the papaya is so beautiful, but I don't know, you know, I don't eat too much of it. And when people go on our detox, one thing they find out is that they're going to eat a lot of papaya.
It's really good for digestion.
Yes. Why? Because it has papain. Papain is the enzyme in it that is one of the most powerful enzymes known on the planet. It's actually the #1 ingredient in meat tenderizers.
Yes.
So it breaks down everything. And the other thing about papaya is that it can combine with your vegetables and your fats, right? Most fruits you're not supposed to combine with other foods, right? But papaya is one of those fruits that you can combine with anything. And it's also recommended, even if you're still eating meat, to eat some papaya afterwards so that it can break down and help process what you're eating.
Yeah.
Okay? And it reduces inflammation in the goodie too. We're not going to follow
who doesn't love a good papaya shake?
Right? I love papaya, but you know one thing about papaya too that a lot of people don't understand is that you can have it.
Oh, she's having a papaya shake
right now.
You didn't share.
So we're gonna cut up the papaya into chunks. We're not gonna really follow the recipe true right now.
So I'm gonna close the book.
But the reason why
she's gonna do the TV version.
Yes, because the reason why is that one calls for much more.
Okay.
Right. So we're just gonna, for the sake of time.
Okay.
And we're gonna have and then also we could not get any broccoli.
Okay.
So it tends to have broccoli in it. We're just gonna
throw that in there.
That's the chef move right there.
All right.
Right.
So we got some papaya in the bowl.
Yes.
So what's going in this? Let's
So we're gonna do papaya. The recipe calls for papaya because I know it by heart. Papaya, broccoli, tahini, onion, and we got some Scotch bonnet pepper here, right? Which is a little different than the regular habanero.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's way more
spicy.
flavorful too. It's way more spicy. It's known as the Jamaican mountain pepper, right? Because you know Jamaicans, they like their stuff spicy. You know, sometimes Belizeans like their stuff spicy too.
I
sometimes.
love spicy food. I'm excited about Me too. All right. So papaya going in. The base is going to be papaya and avocado.
Yes, that's
Along
the base
with
and
the onions.
and the onion, and it usually calls for broccoli as well. So this is a great way. I wish we could have gotten some broccoli because you would not believe me to know that it would be delicious. You know?
I am really, really good. I love broccoli. I'm really good with vegetables. So if you had,
I wanted to bring the broccoli so that I could shock you.
You should have brought it. I would have eaten it.
Thank you.
No.
So we have our cilantro here, and the cilantro has been pre-washed. So just move, and we're just gonna chop this up. Okay. So this is the recipe calls for 4 cups of papaya. But when you get the book, you can also just follow the recipe to the T, right? And it feeds about 6 to 8 people. So we're gonna chop up the cilantro here. And I think we got two bigger pieces for Marlene over here. Marlene is fixing up there's a reason why we leave them big like that.
Oh, it was just that one piece looked too big.
You know, the reason why is because we got a little OCD. Yes. But the reason why is because when you mix it up, you don't want the papaya to just disintegrate and get mushy.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna add the cilantro right in here.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So we got cilantro, papaya. Onion. Here comes the onion.
Yes, we're gonna just do, and you could do any kind of onion. You could do green onion. You can do red onion.
Yeah.
You know, green onion tends to be green onion as far as shallots are concerned tend to be more milder in flavor. So we're just gonna dice this up.
Ooh. So we're doing savory first.
When she said savory and then she says, so we're gonna cut papaya, I was kind of
like, huh? How is that gonna be savory? We're gonna show you.
Right. So. Well, with the other, now that I'm seeing the onion in it, the cilantro and the Scotch bonnet, I'm like, okay, I definitely believe it.
You know,
this is a Scotch bonnet.
This is the Scotch bonnet. Now, how you could tell the difference, because they come in different colors. Yes. This is a chocolate Scotch bonnet. Is if you turn it upside down, you can see that the bottom is more rounded than the habanero pepper. And that is why that's how you could tell. That's how you could tell. The habanero pepper is pointed, right?
Wow, it's pretty.
Yes, and they're so flavorful. I enjoy these peppers the most. You know, I used to hate papaya. I have to admit. I used to hate it.
Tell us if this is a process to get
the truth is coming.
Yes, the truth is out. So what happened is and we have zucchini as well. The zucchini is going to go inside. Now all of these have been washed and
I'm curious to see how you do this. I've never had zucchini uncooked.
Well, you know, I prefer zucchini uncooked because it's too mushy. For me personally, right? So we're going to quarter this. All right, so what I was saying was I used to hate papaya. And back when I did eat meat, okay, because there was a time.
All the truths are coming.
Yes, all of them are coming out right now.
Well, I think it's only today's generation that babies may actually grow up their lives not
It's
eating.
okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, may grow up not eating. Well, it depends, and it also depends on the region. Like, definitely in Belize, that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
I see more kids eating vegetables though. Yeah. I think. parents are providing that nutrient diet kind of situation to their kids, because kids eat spinach. My brother will undertake me with spinach. I'll give him a
Belizean spinach?
Yeah.
Oh
spinach.
No. Woo! That's one vegetable. That's one vegetable.
I love spinach and eggs in the morning. That's really nice.
I like spinach, but not Belizean spinach.
Okay, what's the problem with Belizean?
It's different. Ours is slimy, like the seed was mixed with okra or something. That's how. If you go to the States, I grew up in the States, so I'm not used to slimy.
So okra is also something else that's a no-no for you?
I love okra. Okay. But it's just the ideal of spinach being slimy.
Yeah. Okay.
That's hard for me.
I find the flavor very intense.
It is very.
It's like teach you how to cook it.
I tend to not use too much of it, but I have used it when I didn't have a choice. That's okay.
See, I would do chai and eggs versus.
I like chai and eggs too.
Or callaloo. Callaloo is excellent. Callaloo is actually higher in iron than kale, than collard greens. It's actually on Dr. Sebi's list. I'm sure people are familiar with Dr. Sebi and his non-hybrid list of foods. So we're going to add the zucchini. We quartered the zucchini. So we have about 3 cups of papaya, a half a cup, a quarter cup, a third cup of chopped onions. We have a 4th cup of chopped cilantro, and this is about a cup and a quarter zucchini.
Okay.
All right, now we get into the good stuff.
The avocado.
Okay. Yes, the avocado. Now we have these avocados here. Now, personally, I prefer to use the local avocado, but it's not avocado season. So we just have to work with what we got.
Oh, that's pretty though.
Yes.
Love avocado.
All right. But okay, so the story of I used to hate papaya.
I forgot about it.
And we're all just looking at avocado like,
What happened is I went and I had some tacos from a place, and they had a salsa made with papaya. And I used to be really allergic to cheese, but I used to love cheese. So whenever I ate it, I just expected I would have all kind of discomfort, and I just accepted it, But when I had that salsa with the papaya and this fried cheese ball,
it was
perfect. I didn't have any stomach problems, and the next day I went to the restroom, no problem. So
and you said it must have been the papaya.
I didn't know at the time. I didn't know, but I liked the taste of the papaya with the savory, with the savory. So we got 2 avocados. We're gonna do 2 semi-firm avocados. They're not too ripe. You don't want it to be too ripe like butter. Okay?
Still look pretty.
All right. And
people also use papaya on their skin too.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like a face mask?
Well, they make masks. I've never done it, but I've read about it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that should be,
Interesting.
I mean, I could understand that.
I was told once that you should never put on your skin what you wouldn't ingest.
That's right. Because why? Why do you think that is? Take a guess.
I mean,
somebody knows. I know Marlene. Marlene, you are so funny. Marlene is
but I mean, you don't want to put anything that is toxic and acidic on your skin. So why would you put it in your body?
Right, and also the skin is the largest organ on and of the body. So everything that you are exposed to is absorbed through the skin, and it actually goes to the bloodstream. So people think that that they can do whatever with their skin and put whatever on, and it's just going to shield, but it goes right into the body. Okay. All right. So we have 2 avocados there. Do I have a napkin?
We can get you some. We'll get you some tissue. But go ahead.
All right. So we're going to go forward now with our tahini. Now, tahini is a sesame seed butter. It is traditionally from the Middle East, and now
this is not something people typically have at home.
No, most people don't.
You don't.
You can make it.
You can make it.
Have you made it?
No, I just buy. I have tahini in my house all the time.
I have tried. I did it with the sesame, and I toasted it on my grill.
How did that turn out?
How much does it take to actually get a usable amount of tahini? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think I bought like a bottle.
Okay.
And how did it turn out?
I mean, I put it in hummus.
Was it bitter?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have not tried to make tahini from sesame seeds. It is something you could try to do. I prefer to buy the butter. It's a lot easier, right? So we're gonna pour some tahini on here. Now, you know, when you're making this,
you have mastered cashew cheese, so we'll give you a pass on.
All right, because you know the thing is with tahini, sesame seeds are very, very bitter, right? So if you don't process it correctly, it won't turn out good.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier for me to do that, but I commend you. That is like for real.
The hummus would taste nice.
And then we're gonna add some curry up in here. Now this recipe, you can just use the ingredients that I'm making without being exact, right? To your taste. It's not something you have to be exact with. And we have our chocolate Scotch bonnet pepper here.
Chocolate?
We're gonna make some chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what she's waiting
for.
So
there's tahini, curry. I see some paprika over here. Is
yes,
that
that's going in there.
And what is black salt exactly?
All right. Black salt is a clay salt from...
I can smell it through my mask.
I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
Well, it smells like boiled eggs. Right? Yes, it does. Go ahead and take a little bit.
Now I'm not going to take off my mask.
Take a little bit. Let me show you. The reason why it smells and it tastes like boiled eggs, this is something that, you know, because we vegetarians don't eat eggs, right? This is...
Okay, now I smell it.
Now you smell it.
Yeah.
It tastes like eggs. Because of the... because...
What did you just give me?
Because of the sulfur content.
That's it.
Because of the sulfur.
Okay, so then maybe it's because it was beside the curry powder that it smells like curry powder on the bag.
Well, you know, don't throw it away just yet, right? Okay. Because when you're doing egg replacement stuff, you really want to use this, and you trick people. They like to taste like egg. How'd you get it to taste like egg? Well, we use a salt, and it's actually from India.
Yeah.
Right. And it is a clay, and it is the only salt that like holy people will use during their sacred time. And it's actually better for you than any other salt because it is a clay, so it absorbs the body better than the crystal salt like sea salt. Okay. All right, so we have our Scotch bonnet pepper.
This is a great trick you can play on people.
I mean, it smells like egg. Now that
you like run prank, true? You did a prank on people. Okay, so we have our
did you
Scotch
just touch
bonnet
that with
pepper.
your bare hands?
A little bit.
Okay.
But I remember.
Okay.
I remember not to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
Not to touch your
face.
Not to touch my eyes and any of those things.
All right, so let's recap. Oh, whoa, the time. Okay.
Yeah.
We got papaya, zucchini, onion, cilantro, avocado, tahini,
black salt,
curry, black salt, Scotch bonnet pepper,
and we have some lime.
All right. Do we need that paprika?
Yes. Thank you. We're gonna pour some lime, squeeze some lime in this. You could go ahead and we're gonna use the other one, the middle one.
The middle one.
Yeah, the middle one.
She just a lot. She needs to leave it.
Yeah. Okay. Easy.
Whoop.
Easy. Okay.
That's why I put it on a tiny one.
All right. So now we're gonna mix this up.
I smell
egg.
No, I actually smell the pepper. That's what's hitting me first.
I think it needs a little bit more salt, personally.
Salt?
A little bit.
Okay.
No, but
regular salt?
No. Y'all are funny. That's a suggestion right there. It's like suggested. Okay. And if you need a little bit more salt, then you can try some. Okay, let's try this.
And our next recipe, what's that going to be?
It's going to be the chocolate avocado pudding.
Oh, wow.
And that's a
that
quick
won't take
one.
very long, right?
No, it's very quick.
We're out of time.
Okay.
So that's it? This is
done? That's it. It's done. And while you guys serve this and and try it.
Mix her up. There you go. It's like a nice creamy
We're going to move forward to the next recipe.
She's going to make us our chocolate avocado pudding.
Okay, pass me a little bit of paper towels. I need paper towels.
Paper towel.
You can pass me the whole roll. Thank you.
All right. Put some more here. There you go.
All right, so
that's what that looks like.
Oh, we didn't add this. Did we need this?
No.
Okay.
That's the banana pepper.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
All right.
Taste test while I do the avocado pudding.
That's right. Oh. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of everything. The papaya, zucchini, avocado. Onions are too small to find, but they're mixed in there.
I'm sure they're there, yeah. Okay, I think I have a little bit. That's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, right?
Fresh cilantro gives a perfect bite.
It's good.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop our avocado right into the food processor here. I gotta hurry up, everyone. Moving very quickly. We're just gonna use 2 avocados here, but this recipe is in the book as well, right?
Yeah, she's promoting her.
I'm terrible at following recipes.
She just lost her sous chef because they're having breakfast.
Even my own recipes, I'm terrible at following them.
But you know it by heart.
Yes, I do.
So you have avocado.
Yes, we have avocado, and then we have some cocoa powder here. It's really nice. Right, we're just gonna add some cocoa powder in there. And what I'll do is I will post these recipes on my Facebook page. So anyone who's watching, you all can go and find them there.
You didn't use the seeds for the Scotch bonnet.
No, we don't want to.
Because I taste it, but not the heat.
Yeah, we don't want to burn you up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, then we have some agave here.
Now you said before, if you don't have agave, what else can you use?
You could use coconut sugar. You could use maple syrup.
Can you use honey? Well, that's not vegan.
Well, you could. Some people who call themselves vegans do use honey. I got it.
Just she has a knife.
All right. And then, yeah, but you know, if you use what you have, how about that?
Okay.
Okay, and we're gonna add some agave in here.
How much agave?
I don't know. How about that?
I love it.
And then we're gonna add a little bit.
She'll post the recipe.
Yeah, I'll post the recipe later.
Coconut sugar?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, and then we're gonna add
Let me see this.
some sea salt, regular sea salt.
Regular salt.
And we want to use sea salt instead of the iodized salt because the iodized salt contains about 40 different ingredients that they do not have to list on the ingredient label. So it's better to just use the natural sea salt. All right, so we're going to
once again. You use cocoa powder, avocado, coconut sugar, agave.
Agave, I use it in a little bit of sea salt. That's
and
it.
A little bit of sea salt.
And you can add some vanilla if you want to. Please excuse all of this big mess over here.
Oh, don't you worry.
All right, and you have to use a generous amount of cocoa powder, agave, or sweetener because you're using chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's very bitter.
And you're going to get a pudding consistency.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is let her finish that up. We'll take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our final product.
Perfect.
How about that?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
So we'll shift now, take a break. When we come back, we'll show you what the chocolate pudding, the avocado chocolate pudding looks like in just a few. So stay tuned.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
Connecting people. Creating memories.
Guys, so here we are at the Glaze Out Kitchen. I just prepared this amazing broccoli.
Sharing a smile. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Your life just got a lot less complicated with Belize Bank contactless MasterCard debit card. Introducing our standard debit and MasterCard Platinum debit cards. Now you can make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted with one tap, pay and go. Your contactless card never has to leave your hands, especially in these times. And your card is embedded with multiple layers of security. Platinum card holders get to enjoy extra benefits like price protection, purchase protection, trip inconvenience, and luggage protection, just to name a few. Start enjoying a cashless lifestyle today with the Belize Bank.
If you're looking for low-cost television advertising, have we got a deal for you? Advertise on Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds is one of the most effective methods for introducing yourself and your business to the community. Use our Daily Classifieds to recruit employees, promote specials, promote your products or services, promote a business opportunity, increase traffic to your website, and advertise items you have for sale. Let us help you save valuable time and money. Call us today at 223-0146 or visit us at our offices on Pony Drive to discuss how we can help your business grow affordably. Channel 5's Daily Classifieds. Advertise today.
And we are back.
Yes, I'm
excited. And we are wrapping up our vegan lesson.
Yes.
We made an avocado papaya salad with all kinds of good stuff.
It's really good.
Also discovered what black salt tastes like.
So is it good? So if you had to give it an honest 1 to 10, what would you give it? Honestly.
I'd give it that. It's
It's done.
I'm done.
It's done.
It is delicious.
And I want to tell you
delicious.
really quickly that, tahini is very high in calcium.
Yeah.
Sesame seeds are very high in calcium. In fact, sesame seed milk has 3 times more calcium than cow's milk. So, if you're wondering, how can I get those nutrients? This right here is a miracle saver for that.
The only thing I will say is I really wish you brought the broccoli.
Yeah, the broccoli adds the crunch.
Yeah, but it was really, really good. The moment I put the first taste, I tasted pepper, the avocado, the papaya, the cilantro, everything.
And it's fresh.
Yeah,
and it's
very
easy
fresh.
to make.
It is.
What I realized though is it's not a very sweet papaya. There's some sweetness, but not so much. If you use a very ripe one, is that going to alter it at all?
No, because you have so much savory things going on. You have the tahini, which is a little bitter and savory and buttery. Then you have the avocado, which is buttery. Then you have the cilantro and the onions and the pepper and the lime.
Yes.
That balances that off.
Okay.
All right, so we made the chocolate pudding. We did add some cocoa nibs on top, right? And you can have this with your fresh fruit. You can have strawberries. You can have it with some papaya. Only have 1 clean spoon here. Someone's gonna have to clean their other spoon.
No, I can clean mine. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, April.
You are
I have had
I'll never say no to chocolate.
I know. So as you said, this recipe is in the cookbook.
It is.
Along with over 200 other recipes.
Yes.
So good.
I just want to show how it is actually a
What I really
chocolate
love about this is that you would never tell ever that it has avocado.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
That avocado is strictly for consistency and texture.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
So good.
All right, we got to wrap it up.
Yes.
Once again, where can people get your book?
Okay, you're going to go to my website. Now, I have to give a disclaimer. The book is an investment.
Yes.
Okay? As in, everyone who comes to Back to Life by Chef India, they know they're making an investment. So the book is an investment, and you can order it online at backtolifechefindia.com. You can call me, DM me, look at me on Back to Life by Chef India on Instagram, you know. And yeah, book. Anything else I should add? I'm talking to my husband over there. No.
No, he's like, no, you got it. You got it.
How is it? How is that?
It's delicious.
You know.
I've had this before. This is delicious.
She wants to save it. Save it.
And I know one thing. I think one of the things you have taught us over the years is very simple. We think that cutting out meats and other products are going to really change the flavor, but you can get delicious food, even if it's not cooked, if you just put the right ingredients together.
That's right. Yeah. Well, enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
healthy
me.
breakfast.
Yes. We are out of time. We're just going to say goodbye. Remember to contact us at oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ.
And on Instagram at OYEBelize.
Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon.
Bye, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.